All right. Okay. So welcome to this edition of the Master Implementer interview series, right? So before I introduce my very special guest today, right, I'm just going to share a bit about a background of him first, all right, and then we'll get him on board, right, which I'm very, very excited about today. So growing up, right, so this man, this guy, this someone I really look up to, right? When he first grew up, right, he was someone who was extremely shy, someone who was extremely scrawny and self-conscious, right? And his friends, right, we actually call him Mr. Invisible, which is almost like you can't imagine it right now, right? And this nickname, right, nearly cost him his career because no one took notice of him, right? And so at that period of time, right, only one person took notice of him. And this man was called Ron Kaufman, right? And he's a world-renowned speaker who gave him a life-changing advice, which is that nobody will value you unless you are somebody in this world. Right, and even when I heard that quote, right, when this guy told me about it, I was like, that's absolutely true, man. And because of this, right, and thanks to social media, right, so this man became a huge somebody, right, in the business world, and the world started taking notice of him. And right, so today, right, so this guy, he travels around the world, right? His record was traveling to 35 countries in 1 year, right, to teach salespeople and entrepreneurs all around the world, right, how to use social media to build a loyal following, right? They will only buy from them and no one else, right? And he has also been recently featured on Medium, London Daily, and even Yahoo Finance, right, on the topic of social media branding. And right, and so without further ado, right, can we just invite Mr. Eric Feng, right, to come on board the interview?
Yo! Hi, Mark.
How? Hey,
Thanks for
thanks,
having me.
man. Thanks, Eric, for coming on board, man. I'm very, very excited about this interview. I know your time is tight, right? So I really want to give value, right, to you and my audience as well.
Happy to. I'm looking forward to our conversation.
Wonderful. All right. So when we first get started, right? So I know I shared a bit about your story, Eric. So, but could you just share a
Yes.
little bit more about like how did you even get started, right? Like what made you even want to be like a speaker in the first place? Like what made you want to be an entrepreneur in the first place, right? And maybe some of the like the challenges you first faced when you started starting out.
Well, I was born in the 1980s. So back then, there's no such career called professional speaker. There is no such thing as social media influencer. So, in fact, funny story, I grew up in a very interesting family background. My great-grandfather was a rickshaw puller. My grandfather was a trishaw rider. And then my father was a taxi driver. So if you
Wow.
look at our whole family lineage, right, I should be in transportation. So when I was young, I told my dad I want to be a taxi driver just like him because I thought it was very cool.
Yeah.
And my dad would be very super disappointed. He would always like knock me on my head and say, "Hey son, did he pay you a lot of money for your education? No, you got to dream big." Right? So every day when I was young, he would tell me, "Dream big, dream big." And then one day I came to him at about 4 years old and I said, "Dad, I know what I want to be already." And he was so excited. He said, "What?" I said, "Bus driver, Daddy." And then he was like, he gave up. And then he had my sister. So I would say that as I grow up, I wanted to be everything that I see on television. I wanted to be a lawyer, a police officer, an astronaut, a superhero, everything. But I think that I had a profound experience when I was 6 years old, when I was in primary one. And I wasn't very popular in class for two reasons. Number one, because I was like the youngest and the smallest size guy in class. And number two, I was very good at studying. And I'm pretty sure you realize this, that if you're very good at studying in school, right, you're not going to be very, very popular.
Yeah.
Especially if you refuse to let your friends copy your homework. And when your teachers love you so much that everybody call you the teacher's pet.
Yeah.
So I remember one time I was, I think primary one, and my teacher just said, "Eric, stay back after class." And I was like, "Oh my God, did I do something wrong?" And that teacher was Miss Young, whom I'm still in touch after
Wow.
32 years.
After 32 years, wow.
So she said, 32 years, yeah. And I just have an affinity with teachers. I don't know why. I have a very close relationship with all my teachers. So she said to me, "Eric, I know what's going on in class. Your friends call you names, and but Miss Young just want to let you know that, I think that you have a very bright future ahead of you. Just study hard, be a good boy, and you'll do very well. Okay?" And I was like, she's my angel, right? She's a teacher. I respect teachers. And she said that I'm going to do big things in life. I'm going to be a great person one day. And I believe her wholeheartedly. And that was what impacted me so much, that conversation. So I guess because of her words, I started to fall in love with the career of teaching. I told myself I want to be a teacher when I grow up. To the extent it became an obsession, because you know how when we are kids, we'll play toys, right?
Yeah.
But do you know what I play? I play teacher. That means in my free time, I would take a book and pretend to teach my younger sister, 4 years younger. My
Wow.
favorite toy is a whiteboard. And I will pretend to be a teacher, and I'll cover my whole table with books and radio and everything just to replicate what I see in school. So if my teacher come in and say, class, keep quiet, I would do the same thing that afternoon and say to it in all my soft toys and say, class, keep quiet. So it was a crazy thing to do, but that was what I did. And it got worse when I was in secondary school, because I was from a secondary school where we only had one session, morning session. So in the afternoon, I'll sneak back into the classroom to reteach myself and recreate all the morning lessons. So if my teacher come in storming into the classroom, I'll storm into the classroom. If my teacher start playing with the transparency, I don't know if you know what is transparency,
Yeah, I do.
OHP, the overhead projector, where you put the transparent film on it, I will actually go by and recreate. And I love writing on chalkboard. So one day my teacher called me. He was like, Eric, what are you doing? Why are you talking to yourself? Why are you not going home? And I was like, I'm teaching myself. And she said, if you want to teach yourself, then go teach your friends. Your friends need help. And that was how I started running remedial classes in my secondary school.
Wow.
And then my tuition teacher found out and said, Eric, why not you help me teach my science class? And I started teaching science class. So can you see how the seed of teaching was planted very, very young? Started with being impacted by a primary 2 teacher, and then being discovered, quote unquote, by my teachers who said that, hey, why not go help your friends? And I guess ever since then when I go to university, teaching or tuition teaching became my part-time job. Obviously, that didn't connect the dots, right? I did want to be a teacher actually in Singapore. But because I study computer science, and if you in Singapore you study computer science, you're having a general degree, you can only teach primary school kids. And I've tried teaching primary school kids; they drive you crazy. Another funny story: I was teaching a primary 2 class, math, how to weigh things. I was a relief teacher, so I told the class, everybody bring something to class to weigh, okay? So one kid brought flour, like flour to bake cake, and he threw the flour into the fan, the propeller fan, and all the flour started spreading, and then people start pouring water, and then it went crazy, and kids start crying and got scolded by the teacher next door. And then I told myself, oh my God, I'm not going to teach primary school kids. So that's why I never chose to be a teacher. But then one day in university first year, I attended a public speaking class. I attended it because I knew the value of public speaking. I knew that I need to do class presentations, and I'm not good at it. I was studying computer science. I was very shy and very self-conscious, not very confident. So I knew I needed help. And then I remember watching this speech by Jim Key. He was the world champion of public speaking that year. He competed in an international competition, speech competition by Toastmasters. And in 7 minutes, he made me cry. He made me laugh. He got me so inspired. And I was like, wow, a person can do that in 7 minutes. And the title of the speech was, It's Never Too Late to Follow Your Dream. And that was when another seed got planted, which is one day I want to teach, but I want to teach on that stage where I can be a speaker, I can be a motivator, and I guess that these are all the things that led to what I'm doing right now today.
Yeah, hey, thanks for sharing, man. So I think a lot of interesting stories.
It's my first time actually sharing this journey here.
First time?
I've never really, it's my first time someone ever asked about my profession, because most time the interviews dive straight into social media branding, but this is one of those rare interviews that, we get a chance to step back and take a look at my backstory, I guess.
Yeah, so at least from my experience, so I definitely have learned a lot from you, right, over the past year especially, right? So in terms of the value and content you give out, right, I love it, right? There's so much that you have given out. So my thing is, I don't want to repeat some of the questions, right? But I actually really find out a bit more about some other areas that might not be discussed as much, right? That's why I'm very curious, right? Because you said that when I like to be a teacher, I started teaching my friends and everything, right? So what made you want to computer science in the first place, man, like university?
Oh wow, that's another good question. Very stupid reasons. Because I love playing computer games. So I'm crazy. Do you like playing computer games as well?
Yeah, I know Dota you play very often. And
oh man, I play Dota. I play Command and Conquer, StarCraft, and whatever computer game ever. That's why I love after examinations, right? During secondary school, I will rush home. Like all my friends will go and celebrate, and obviously me antisocial, right? So I'll go home and I'll start playing computer games non-stop.
I do that.
So
man,
I guess you did that too, huh?
Yeah.
So no wonder we gravitate towards each other. So then it was because of that reason I thought, hey, you know what? Maybe I should study computer science so that I can learn how to create computer games. But obviously, it was totally different. It's not the same thing at all. I was so bad at it, Ziya, you won't imagine. It was so bad that every Monday 4 p.m. I have headaches because every Monday 4 p.m. is where we do programming, and I've never programmed something before. We're learning C++ and Java, so it's just crazy. I have headaches, and there was one day I was chatting with my classmates, which are generally from China, Vietnam, and India, and I asked them, "Hey, what are you guys gonna do over the weekend?" I was hoping that maybe they want to go out. And they say, "Oh, we got some programming to do." I was like, "Huh? Got homework, man?" They say, "Oh, no homework, but we created our own homework, and we're gonna test each other on our programming power." And that was that moment where I realized that what, I better quit because I am not gonna be ever as good as them, half as good at even. And the fact that they look at programming as a game, there's no way I can fight. So I started, but I was very lucky. I had a senior who was 4 years my senior. He came from a line of entrepreneurs. His father was managing the whole Chinatown business plan, and his sister was an entrepreneur, and he's an entrepreneur and a student leader in my computing faculty. And he told me one thing. He said, "Eric, at the end of the day, right, how successful you are in your work and your career, it's not about how smart you are, but it's about whether people like you or not." And I was like, wow, that's a very good point. So if people like you, they're going to give you opportunities anyway. If people like you, you'll be easily forgiven. If people like you, they will mentor you and help you. So that I think that advice stuck with me because I knew I was not good with my studying. So I needed to compensate in other areas. So that was when I started becoming more aware about my social skills, which was non-existent. And so I started reading books on Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. I started researching about any topic to do with charisma and personal attraction. And I used my university as my testing ground, and it worked. I became Mr. Popular in school. I was the student leader, and I was involved in quite a number of student groups. And that was when I realized that, wow, people's skills are so important, until to the fact that I even make friends with all the smartest people in my class. And I told them, I said, "Can I join you in the project groups? I cannot program, but I'm great at presentation. I will buy food for you. I will make friends with the professors so that I know exactly how we can get an A." And that was what I did. So I did very well in my university, not because I was great at programming, but because I was great at building relationship with my professor. So I knew how to get an A. And I was also good at making friends with the smarties in my faculty. So they would do all the programming and I do all the presentation. So playing up to my strength. So ironically, I did well. I had a scholarship. I was offered a computer science scholarship by the government. I did it for 2 years. They sent me to Sri Lanka. And then after that, I was like, enough is enough. I like to teach. I want to teach about, charisma. I want to teach about public speaking. So I went to my HR director and I said, "Hey, can you move me from the computing department to the L&D, the learning and development department? I think I can contribute there a lot more." She looked at my degree and she said, "You're a computer science degree major. So no, continue programming." And I quit. And so I quit. And then I started my own little practice. But you must bear in mind that I only quit after 2 years in the corporate world. That means in that 2 years of me working my first job, I was blogging a lot. Back then, there was no social media. So I had Blogspot. I don't know if you guys know this. I'm from the 1980s.
Long time ago.
I think your followers are all very young, man. So I was on Blogspot. I was on Friendster, and then I was on ICQ. So all these are the platforms that I had to kind of start sharing about public speaking. And at a site, I actually did get some jobs where people come to me and say, "Hey, can you help me write a speech? Can you MC for us?" And then when I started making enough money to replace my income, that means like back then I was making about 2,005 Sing dollars. So I knew that the minute I can make 2,005 separately, then I might have a future. So it was about 2.5 years after I finished my scholarship. And then I jumped. I went into the corporate world. Actually, not in the corporate world yet. I actually went to the school world. So I started teaching public speaking for junior college students. Because back then in Singapore Junior College, we have this subject called project work. You familiar?
Yeah.
Right? So 20% is oral presentation. So we basically teach that. But it's just hard to do business in a school market because you can't price high and there's a lot of competition.
Yeah.
And that was when I pivoted and I went into the corporate world. But I faced a new set of problems which we can talk about later.
For sure,
But that was my journey.
Yeah, but I love what you first shared. Right? I think two things. I think firstly, what you talk about how like it's sometimes not just how intelligent you are, right? Of course like your chops are important. Like you need to be YouTube, but of course when people like you, right, and that's you're gonna like make things so much more easier, right? So I think what
It's
you
an
did
unfair
about
advantage.
it's an unfair advantage for sure, right? And then secondly, right, second what I love is that like yes, you acknowledge that your computer science wasn't so good, right? But you actually leverage on other areas that you knew that the other people will probably have challenges in, and you started leveraging on that to get to where you want, right, in terms of the results and everything. So it's about resourcefulness, man. So that's what I hear, man. Like that's all I hear.
But I don't take any credit for that. I learned it from that mentor of mine. His name is Andre, 4 years my senior. He told me, he said, play out on your strengths. And I was like, oh wow, that was good advice. So to anybody watching this, right, I tell you, the fastest way you can have a breakthrough in any area of your life is simply to seek a mentor. Find somebody who is probably a few years ahead of you in that journey that you want to be on. Make sure that the person share the same values with you. Just because the person is successful, is making more money than you, he may not be the best mentor because the way he makes money might not be aligned to your value system. So you got to make sure that when you find a mentor, not only must that person be successful or be living the life that you want, but that guy or girl has to have similar values with you, so that when you adopt his method, right, it will not be a contradiction to the way you are brought up.
As well.
Exactly, your beliefs and values.
Love it. Yeah, I think that part is very important, right? Because a lot of people they just like they see who's the first successful one, they will try to mentor, but it gets messy after that, man. They realize that the values are different, the ways
exactly. Then you have to compromise.
Yeah, it's a huge compromise, which is not good in the long run, right? So yeah,
exactly.
So actually, could I ask, right, like Eric, like when you, so I love that you didn't like decide just to jump into like the whole speaking entrepreneurial world, right? Just like throw everything, burn the boats, everything. Because I think that's a common misconception a lot of people have. They actually so to burn the boats, right, to be where you are today, right? So like during that period of time, what was your mindset, man, when you decided to finally like to say, okay, let me wait till I get a certain amount of income that I felt was comfortable before I jumped, right? And then next, of course, I think what I think my audience would love to know is like, how was your initial experience when you first started, right? So you pivoted out of the schools, everything. You share a bit more about that as well.
Well, I wish I knew everything when I was younger. You know, misunderstand that during the 10 years ago, there was no podcast, there's no YouTube. So there is no way you can get information except for having conversations with people. And so I guess, but back then I was very lucky. I was studying in States. Half of my education was done in States. And, you know, professional speaking is big in US. So I remembered meeting up with quite a number of successful professional speakers, and they were the one that gave me the advice. They say, Eric, don't quit so soon because you'll be so stressed out and you will compromise, right? You will take out assignments that may not be good for you. So what you do is have a day job, so it gives you stability. But you know, your day job happens at 9 to 5. So from 5 to 9, go work on your side hustle, right? Obviously, again, the word side hustle was not invented until recently. But they say that, you know, work 9 to 5, get stable income, and then from 5 to 9, do the things that you want to do. So I knew very clearly that I wanted to be a speaker. But you see, the thing is that speaking is just a medium of communication. But if you're going to just promote yourself and say, I'm a speaker, no one's going to hire you. At the end of the day, you need to first be an expert in something. And I use expert loosely because, I mean, I'm definitely an expert when it comes to maybe walking. Right. But in comparison to a baby who can't walk. So even expertise is relative, you know what I mean?
Relative,
But I knew very clearly that in the world of professional speaking, in the world of training, people do not hire speakers, people do not hire coaches, people do not hire trainers. People hire experts who can solve a certain problem. It's just that the way you solve a problem is through the medium of a speech, or the way you solve a problem is through a medium of a workshop, or the way you solve a problem is through a directed conversation, which is called coaching. So from a very early age, because of great mentoring, I knew not to focus on the medium, which is speech, coach, or training. Instead, to work on figuring out what problem I'm excited to solve.
Mm.
And obviously, because of my background in public speaking and winning speech competitions during my university days, so people tend to naturally see me as an expert or a person who can help them in their speeches.
Mm.
So I just went with the lowest hanging fruit,
Yeah.
right? Without even knowing anything about social media or wanting to do all those things.
Yeah.
But it evolves because so solve the most easiest accessible problem with whatever talents that you have.
Mm.
But it will come a point where you either go deeper into that problem,
Yep. Mm.
or you get bored with that problem and you moved on.
Yeah.
So for me, I got bored. I got bored in helping kids with public speaking. That's why I
Mm.
moved on to go to the adult world,
Yeah.
where I actually spent about 2 years helping adults solve their public speaking problems.
Mm.
But 2 years later, I got bored. And I'll tell you how you know you got bored.
Mm.
You got bored when you don't feel motivated to teach.
Yeah.
You get bored when you stop studying,
Mm.
stop consuming
Owning
new
the craft.
information,
Yeah.
honing your craft. I was just basically just riding the wave. And so I asked myself, okay, what would be the next problem that I would like to solve?
Mm.
And that was when I realized that, hey, people have been asking me a lot about charisma. Like,
Mm.
you're so young, you join the speaking industry, how do you do it? And now I realized that it's because my customers like me enough to want to give me a chance. So likability is a very important factor to the entire decision-making process. So I started solving a new problem, which is how do you increase your charisma? And that problem was a much bigger problem because more people have that problem. And that was what took me to Asia. So I was always in Singapore only doing public speaking. But then charisma opened up Asia to me. And so I spent about 3 years teaching people about how to unlock their charisma. I have engineers who like myself who attend a program. I have salespeople who are attending a program. I have leaders who attend a program. And then in 2016, I got bored again. So after 3 years, I got bored. It's like being in a long-term relationship. You get bored. And then I started asking myself, okay, what's the next problem I want to solve? And I remember one time I was in Taiwan speaking to the #1 corporate insurance company. And the boss said to me, Eric, no point that my guys are charismatic when they can't get customers. So I was like, oh, wow, now there's a new problem to solve. Before I can help them be charismatic, I need to first get customers to be attracted to them. Otherwise, there's no way they can show their charisma. So in 2016, 2017, I started studying a lot about marketing, about how to a salesperson attract customers. So that was when I was introduced to the world of digital. I also saw the value of networking as a very powerful way to attract customers to you. So 2017, I wrote my book called, fifth book actually, The Future of Selling. And because it's such a big problem, because everybody have a selling problem. And the traditional prospecting methods like roadshow, cold call, door knocking is not working anymore. And internet is fast becoming popular. Therefore, it was a real business problem. And because the problem was so big, my stage expanded from Asia to global. So whoever watching this right now, don't worry about going global. If you are solving a global problem, you'll go global.
Wow, I love that.
So don't worry about that. So I always believe that the money you make is simply the market's feedback of your value. So if you are not making the money you want, it means that you're not giving the value that the market wants. Nothing wrong with that. If you're okay with the money you make, then continue. But if you're not okay with that, then you got to think of a bigger problem that the world needs solving right now. And take a look at your own talents, your own strengths, your own network, and then go solve it. And make sure you enjoy solving it. So that was exactly the approach. And I'm still solving it through the mode of speaking, but I'm also solving it through the mode of webinar training. See that? So don't get attached to how to solve that problem, but get obsessed about the problem you want to solve.
I love that, man. Like, because like I think what some people might have the misconception is that when you talk about like being an entrepreneur, being a speaker, right, you also to take one topic and go all the way with it, right? But obviously with what you openly shared, right, is that no, like you think about what the problems you want to solve, and obviously like you can switch if you want to, right? But obviously then like you need to go and enter the space again. You need to find out what are the key challenges that people face. You go into it and then you can start excelling and creating value out of it, man.
And you know something, it's really like dating. You know how like when we are younger, our relationships never last very long one because we still try and figure out what we want. So we are probably in a 3-month relationship, then 6-month relationship. Then next thing you know, become 1 year, 2 years, 6 years, and then you get married, right? It's the same thing. Like I really right now, okay, I'm still at my 3-year, right? So 3-year, because last time also 3 year, then I got bored. But now I'm in my 3rd year, I got even more excited because the rabbit hole is so deep. You see, for me to help a person today, right, solve this big problem of finding customers on social media, I have a lot of things I need to solve.
It's a whole
Number one, I need to help the person be aware about his strengths and talents and uniqueness. Because if you cannot be different on social media, you are invisible on social media. So I need to help them with their self-awareness. Next step, I need to help them in their confidence in putting themselves out there, which means I have to deal with their esteem issues. Next, I need to teach them the mechanics of each social media platform. Then next, I need to teach them how to create content, which means writing, speaking, video making, and visual design. And then next, I need to teach them how to build relationship with other social media influencers. Can you start to see that when you have a big problem, there are many areas that you can work on, which means either there are many areas, there are many aspects of yourself that you can develop, or there are a lot of collaboration you can do with people in order to solve that one big problem. And so I'm excited. The rabbit hole is really deep.
Because like one thing I realized is, of course, like in terms of your career, of course, right now your area you are focused more on like people in the insurance space, right, property space. But obviously, right, I think we also from the recent webinar, right, with Rash and the audience, right, it's not just insurance or not just properties, right? Like almost anyone can use your strategies, right, and to actually like accelerate the number of customers they get, the branding they get, and
very true.
Man,
the market has evolved actually. Today I have people who are tuition teachers who are learning from me. I have fitness instructors, dog trainers. But you see, the danger is that many of you will look at me and go like, see, Eric is going after every market, so I should also do the same thing. No. At the beginning, you should always focus. And I always believe that you need to be the biggest fish in the smallest pond. That's how you should start. Biggest fish in smallest pond. Most of us, what we do is we are the smallest fish in the biggest sea. So we want to go after everyone, right? You're going to get eaten up and you're going to lose, right? So what you want to do is not to compete. What you want to do is to dominate. Because if you dominate, is when you are the biggest fish in the smallest pond. And I always believe that if competition is healthy, then domination is immunity. If competition is healthy, domination is immunity. So at the beginning, you want to dominate a market. So when in 2017, when I decided to go into this new niche, this new problem that I want to solve, which is to help people find customers online, I asked myself, like, what industry would I want to focus on? And you have to think in a few ways. You have to think about the industry that you feel the most connected to. Either because you used to be in the industry or you have a lot of friends in the industry, so you understand the industry very well. And that they share the same values with you. So insurance industry was one of those industries that is perfect for me. Why? Number one, they have great learning attitude. The people in there, right? If you go and talk to any insurance agent, the good ones, they are pro-learning. They're willing to invest in learning. Number two, they are in insurance, which means they're in the business of serving, because insurance is a product that saves lives. And so a lot of the things I teach is always about putting your heart into the things that you do, which means that people who are not just driven by money, but by serving, they will resonate with me very well. And that's the insurance world. So I started the insurance world because there was so much compatibility. Then once I became very successful in the insurance world, and to explain how successful it is that if today you talk to an insurance agent from any country, they will know me, pretty sure. And that is going really deep. You dig basically a 6-inch wide and you go 6 kilometers deep. That was what I did with the insurance industry. Now that I've done the industry, I spent about 3 years in the industry. Then I asked myself, okay, I've dominated that small pond. What would be the next pond I want to dominate? You see, the beauty is if you are a big fish in one small pond, you will be invited to swim in other small ponds. And so the next natural industry would be the real estate industry and the network marketing industry. And so I'm now swimming in those ponds, right? And it just grows like an ice cube tray. Pour water in one ice cube. And then as you fill up that ice cube, you dominate, it moves on. Oh my God, actually that's a great analogy.
That's a great analogy, man. You just
I just came out of it, it's new. It's like the ice cube tray principle. So I was focusing on one, and it evolves, boom. And I'll basically dominate the world if that's my ambition.
I'm sure, man, like with what we've been doing, like for sure, like I know people like who know you, like oh Eric, I definitely know him, like they are the ones that are not like into like studying like a lot of people, but definitely Eric Feng like that is a name that they've heard of, man. That's for sure.
Wow, thank you.
So Eric, so I love that you're sharing like what we've been doing to dominate the market, but I'm going to bring it back a bit back, right, to how you first started again, right? Because I think a lot of people in my audience, there are people who are just getting started. They want to see how they can best accelerate their progress, right? So could you just share very quickly, right, just about what do you think might be your one or two of your biggest challenges when you first started out, and how did you like manage to overcome it and everything, right?
Well, okay. I think the first one is self-awareness. That means understanding where your strengths are and understanding how you want to serve the world. So number one is back then, I was modeling after everybody. I was looking at, back then Adam Khoo was a big thing. So I was looking at Adam Khoo. Oh, he's a motivator. Okay, I need to be a motivator too. I need to, oh, he runs on stage. So I also need to run on stage, right? Oh, no, I'm serious. I mean, back then he was the icon in the training world. And then because I study in America, so I've seen a lot of American speakers and the way they talk, the way they move, so I model after that. But the problem is I lost myself in the process. And I was like a copycat, So one day, I think it was a friend who came to me and said, Eric, like, why are you always trying to model after everybody? Like, why can't you do your own thing? And that was really a turning point for me because I was an average. I feel that back then in the first 3 years of my training industry, right, I was average. I was getting by, that's all. But I was nothing. I was not a name to be remembered. And it was then my friend was saying to me that, why are you constantly trying to model, copy other trainers? Why can't you just step up and be your own kind of beautiful? And that was the first time I had to confront myself because I realized that I have a big block in my head, which is if I put myself out there, what if I get rejected? That was the first big issue that I think a lot of your followers will face. Because invisibility is the biggest curse of all business. But for you to be visible, it means you need to step out. But to step out, it means that you need to be comfortable in your own skin. And all of us have different kinds of issues, right, that we have to deal with. And considering that back then I was Mr. Invisible in school, I wasn't the most well-liked person in class, I started to have to face a lot of my insecurities. So I think my biggest challenge back then was being comfortable in my own skin and knowing what aspects of myself are my strengths and to put that aspect of myself out there. I think that's the start, the most important bit, self-awareness. So I will encourage all of you watching this video, step number one is do as many personality assessments as you want, all right? And go find out what are your strengths, find out what are your key values. Because the minute you know your strengths and your key values, then you'll know your placing. You'll know exactly how you want to serve the world. So like, for example, my strength is really teaching. I enjoy teaching, right? And my value is freedom. That's the most important thing, which means I know I cannot teach in a school because if I teach in a school, I will have no freedom. I have no flexibility in the way I want to teach it. I have no flexibility in the way I want to do my design of my curriculum. So, and because of that, that's why my business model has been a freelancer, being represented by a couple of agencies and having the flexibility to decide who I want to work with, where I want to work, and how I want to communicate. So that's that. Then the second piece to the puzzle is, so first piece, self-awareness, right? Then the second piece is empathy. You have to be extremely empathetic towards the people you want to serve. So you need to ask yourself who you want to help, what problems you want to solve. The minute you know that, then you need to spend a tremendous amount of time with these people because they will give you clues on how best to help them. So there was a period of time where I knew I wanted to help insurance agents. I started consciously going out with many, many insurance agent friends, and eventually they became my friends, even till today. So people are like, how come all your friends are insurance agents? Well, because at the beginning, when I knew nothing about the insurance industry, I knew I need to understand the insurance industry well. So I started spending time with them, learning about their challenges, learning about their language, learning about, how they think about social media or marketing, and then go create a program to help them. So self-awareness helps you create your brand, but empathy helps you communicate your brand in an effective way that gets you customers.
Wow, hey, I love that, man. So thanks for sharing. So I think this two are really, really important tips for beginners, right, who are starting. I think firstly, I think you hit it spot on, right, in terms of like self-awareness, right? And then that part of being afraid of putting yourself out there, right? So like, I think that's something that a lot of people that I have spoken to, right, they're afraid of doing videos and everything, right? So what might be like just one or two quick tips, right, that I probably might have covered before, but what do you think might be one or two quick tips for this group of people that they actually they have a desire, right, to be out there, to speak and all, but they're actually facing like some sort of issues with their confidence and all. Like, what would be one or two quick tips for them?
Well, confidence comes from certainty of success. So for example, we are confident about brushing our teeth because we have brushed our teeth for so many years and we knew it worked. So we're confident. So therefore, if you guys want to start off, first of all, ask yourself, right, what are you good at? Right? What's your strengths? And then look at the world out there and ask yourself what problems you want to solve. And go pick a problem where you can use your strengths to solve it. So say, for example, maybe you're good at video making. Okay, good. So that's your strength. Now take a look at the world out there. What problems are out there? Maybe charities are not able to, get the public to donate money to them, and you feel very passionate about that. Now you go create something to teach them how to create videos that gets more donors to put money in, with your charity. So then all of a sudden you have a business model already. You have a plan, a business.
Yeah,
right? So that's the
plan, right?
Being aware about your strengths and being empathetic about the problems that is in the world. Find one that merge, and then you have a viable business.
Hey,
so that's
thanks,
step
Eric.
one.
Yeah.
Then step number two is go test. So in the world of technology, we call it MVP, minimum viable product. So what you do is go create something, a mini solution. A solution could be in a form of a 1-hour webinar. It could be in a form of a 10-page ebook. It could be in a form of a 1-page infographic, or even a 10-picture carousel IG. Once you create that solution, go to 10 of these customers and then give it to them for free. And give it to them and say, hey, I created this, use it. Let me know if it works. And the feedback that you get from them will determine if you are onto something. If the feedback is positive, then you're onto something, and you also got confidence because you just have 10 customers, potential customers who are already verified that your solution works. If it doesn't, but you are still passionate about solving that person's problem, then go find a new solution and then test again. But once you get a minimum viable product, your confidence it gradually goes up as well because it's market proven. Then you can think about how you want to scale it at a much bigger level.
All right. Hey, thanks
how I do.
Hey, those are really powerful strategies. But I think a lot of people, they might want to jump straight into trying to sell and whatnot, right? Without even validating the idea, right? So I think that itself, that mindset of like validating your idea, finding some awareness, combined with empathy, right? It's going to be like really, really useful, right? For this group.
It's two superpowers, man. And it's free of charge.
For sure. Right. So like I want to go back to a bit about what you shared earlier, right? I think you shared in university you were like really winning like public speaking competitions and everything, right? So and right now obviously you have been certified. You're the youngest. So I know you have a whole list of accolades, right? For your age. I think it's amazing.
One of the youngest, no longer youngest.
One of the youngest. So can I just like?
Yeah, no longer youngest. Damn it.
But dude, like your accolades and all, right? It's crazy. But I think you have a lot to. I think, is it okay if you share a bit about what goes behind like when you prepare for a speech and everything? Because I've heard like the level of detail that you go in, right, to being world class, right, is really like on a whole other level. So we just share a quick tip about like how do you prepare your speeches? How do you craft it that you can get like standing ovations from like thousands of people and getting people to invite you over and over again? I think that's something that is so exciting, man, for people to learn.
Well, so first of all, is my definition of a successful speech is very different from everybody else. So to me, to a lot of people, a successful speech is one where you get standing ovation. Where you get compliments, right? But or you get, if you're a trainer, to get a 5.5. But that was not my definition of a successful speech or training. To me, a successful speech is when the customer hire you back. Because to say that you're good is free of charge. But to spend more money to bring you back means that you're really good. And in the training, to know that you're really a good trainer, it's not about when you get 5.5 in a feedback form. It's when people's lives change because of your training. So I think it's because I had that as my marker of success, which is very high. Therefore, I knew I had to put in a lot more work to get to that level. Because if my job is to just get you guys to give me a standing ovation, then I don't have to do much, right? It's not very difficult to get a standing ovation, right? But if my job is to make sure that you hire me back, then I really got to make sure that my topic is in-depth enough or got to be high value enough for you to want to come and see me. So if you want to be successful in anything that you do, then you got to set yourself up with higher standards. So that's one. Then number two is spend a lot of time understanding your audience. A lot of times when I'm nervous about a speech, it's usually because I do not know much about my audience. Never because of the size of the audience. Because to me, maybe because I'm an extrovert, so the larger the audience, the more excited I am. So, but I knew very clearly that if I'm not clear about who I'm trying to help, I will never be able to do a good job. So, till today, actually just yesterday, I'm about to go for a webinar with a few thousand people from Singapore, Malaysia, Philippines, Indonesia, Vietnam, and Thailand, right? Now, I've seen them before. I've done some work with them last year in Philippines. So I could easily just say, it's the same group of people. But it's just been inbuilt in me that don't ever take this for granted, because you never know, the audience might change. And so I actually did a rehearsal yesterday, and thank God we did a rehearsal, because of the rehearsal, then I knew, the audience is different. It's a different set of audience. These are guys that are already very successful. So if I were to deliver the same webinar that I thought I should be delivering, I would lose them within 10 minutes. So it's the same thing for all of you guys out there doing training, doing webinars, doing a video, doing a speech. Make sure you interview at least 15% of your audience. So if you have an audience of 100, make sure you call 15 people and ask them questions. Ask them questions like, what's the biggest challenge that you're facing right now? Why is it that you're not able to solve that challenge? Who's your favorite speaker? Why do you like that speaker? If there's one thing I can do, what's one thing that must happen after my speech for you to say that your time with me was well spent? Questions like that. What's your favorite comedy? What's your favorite TV show? Right? What's your favorite person? Who's the favorite person in the company? All these are fantastic. I remember one time I did a speech for FedEx, and I asked them, I say what's something that you guys always like to joke about? And then once I knew it, I used it for my speech right at the first 1 minute.
Wow.
Immediately when I opened my speech, I said that, guys, you might think that I'm an outsider. I'm not from the logistics industry, but I tell you something, if you cut me open right now, I bleed purple just like all of you. And everybody clapped.
Wow.
Because in FedEx, there's an insider joke that they are so loyal to the company, their blood is purple in color. So because I did my homework and I knew that that was their language, their lingo, I was able to incorporate that into my speech. And within less than a minute, I'm one of them. So so that was one of a very important piece of my preparation. To know something about your audience is more important than knowing everything about your content.
I love it. Man.
And that's exactly how I prepare.
Yeah. So even for sorry, you have something else?
Oh no, that's the pre. We will talk about
pre. Okay, let's go to the main one. You continue, please.
Okay. So that's pre, right?
Yeah.
Then after you deliver your speech, make sure you record yourself. Record your training, record yourself, because a video camera never tell lies, right? You were like, I don't want to watch myself on the camera. Hey, if your audience are going to suffer watching you, you better make sure you suffer together with them and watch yourself too, right? And one of the best advice I can give you guys is to never seek validation, always seek education. Never seek validation, always seek education. So whenever you watch your video or whenever you ask your audience to give you honest feedback, don't be so obsessed with the good things that people say. Even if they say, I like your speech, don't stop there. Ask them, what exactly do you like about my speech and why? So that you can recreate your success. But yet at the same time, ask them, what's that one area that you felt I could improve? And go work on it. And if you keep reiterating that process, you're going to be world-class in no time. That's my whole entire process.
Thanks for sharing, man. Because at least, okay, so from my experience, right, which is that the first part is, of course, a lot of people, they are afraid of taking action in the first place, right? They don't. But then when for a big group of them, when they do take action, right, sometimes they just they have the heck it, just whack it. But for you, right, from what I see, right, to be a world class, to be that next level where you get your raving fans from all around the world, right, this is the level of preparation that's needed, man. So I think thanks for sharing. I think that's a very powerful, not just a strategy, but what goes behind your head in crafting a wonderful and powerful presentation.
To the people that say that wing it, right? It's my answer to you is that you can't flow unless you're a structure. You must first create a structure. Then, you must first create a structure.
Yep.
then water can flow and take up. Water is like flow. Your creativity can then fill up the cup. If you only have water but no cup, the water will be lost. So it's the same thing. You know, you can wing it. That's creativity. You can like go in the moment. But without a clear structure, your entire speech is chaotic. So you need to first have a structure, a process of how you prepare a speech. And then within that, feel free to be creative. Feel free to wing some of that parts of that speech. So that's the mechanics of preparing the speech.
Like for my side, I think I'm going to use it in terms of my speech and everything also, right? So I'm going to get the next question, right? So I think like I'm enjoying myself so much, man, in terms of interview insights and everything.
I love your questions.
I think over your number of years, right, you've been in the coaching, training, speaking industry for a huge number of years. You have a lot of mentees, coaches under your wing right now. Like, so at least based on your personal observations, right, Eric, like, I know that there are some common answers and all, but at least in your personal observations, what do you think are the different characteristics or traits, right, that differentiate someone that can be successful in a much faster, in a much bigger manner, right, versus some that might still be not at the speed that they like to have or at the level of success they like to have? What do you think?
It's an easy question to answer because it's a question I've been asking myself because the community has grown so big. I have people who are from Brazil that's part of the community right now that I'm working at. So when I say community, they are called a KLR community, so known, loved, and respected. It's a community of people who want to be people of influence. And so they join this community so that I can help them build their following so that they can be a force of good in this world. And I realized that, you know, with enough people, you start to see a pattern. And it's so true. There are always going to be people who will do extremely well and there'll be people who would still remain the same. And there were two things that sets them apart that I noticed. The first one is the growth mindset. There are some people that attend the program with the let's hope that this program will work for me. Rather than I'm going to make sure that this program works for me. There's a very big difference. One is hope. One is to ensure. And another way of thinking is some people go in the program and go, this doesn't work. Instead of how can I make this work for me? So it's about taking responsibility, you know, and being open to change. So that's the growth mindset. The second thing is also extremely important, which is the importance of taking action. So there are people who are stuck because they are thinking too much and they are acting too little. I always tell my community that, you know, you don't get what you dream, you get what you do. As long as you do, you will get results. Even if the result is negative result, it's still a positive feedback on what you need to change. And we all know this, right? Imperfect action, it beats perfect thought. So I would say these are the two things that are extremely important. When you enter a training program, you know, stay open. A lot of people die today in crisis, in this COVID-19 crisis. It's not because of COVID-19. I always say that COVID-19 is not the reason why your business die. It's complacency that kills your business, not COVID-19. A lot of people, because they are not open to innovating, they're not open to trying new things, they're not open to testing their beliefs. That's why when a big crisis like COVID-19 comes along, they are not ready for that. And that's why they die. So I would say that these are the two most important things. Growth mindset and the impetus to the biasness towards action.
Keep doing, right, instead of thinking of the perfect stuff and everything.
And obviously you don't want to take blind action. You don't want to just do and just keep banging your head on a wall. But it has to be a very scientific approach, I would say. That means you do and you assess your results, you analyze it on why it worked and why it doesn't work, and then you make adjustments. Otherwise, there's just foolishness. If you keep doing the same thing and keep getting a result, right? There's a quote. Insanity is doing the same things and expecting different results.
Hey, thanks for sharing. So I think like what you said firstly, I think about like the hope versus that mindset of like I would call it declaration.
Whatever it takes.
I'm going to make it work for me, right? So I think that's something that I would really do. So something that I really like. Thanks for sharing that, reminding my audience about the importance, right, of when you go for a program, right? It's not that I hope after this my results will be there, right? It's like I'm going to go there and make it work, right? No matter what.
You see, the thing is that if we don't do anything, you know, it's all about law of nature. Like I'm sure you guys remember Newton's first law, right? Newton's first law says that if an object remains at rest and there is no external force, the object remains at rest. If the object is moving at a constant speed and if there's no external force, the object will continue moving at constant speed. So all of us are either at rest, that means we are not growing, or we are moving along a certain path, which may not be the path we want. But in order to get out of that path or to start
Mm.
moving, we need a big force. If without the external force, there's no change.
Yeah.
Right? That's why force equals what? There's a saying, work, there's a formula, right? Work done equals force times distance.
Yeah.
So you need to create a big force, but that force must create a distance. If it doesn't create a distance, it's still not zero work done.
Wow.
In fact, you see, the whole formula already tells you how to be successful. Number one is you need to put in the effort, and the effort needs to get you progress. You need to move. If you don't move, you will not get a work done. So I feel that for a lot of us, we are not forceful enough in wanting to change. That's why we will continue to remain at rest, or we will continue down the path which may not be the path that we want.
Not path we want, right? Thanks for sharing that. So it's interesting how you use a scientific formula, right, for
physics. Well, I figured that your guys are also young and they're probably fresh out of school, and all this math and physics probably are still very familiar to them.
Really good. I'm not very good at science, but yeah, I remember that. Can I just share? So we still have a few more minutes, right? So thanks. I think I'm really enjoying myself this interview, right? We learned so much, and it's going to be a lot of value, right? Can I just so I want to go just a bit in the last part, right, with this whole topic of productivity, right? So definitely, like for me, right, at least right, like from what I know, right, you have definitely accomplished what I call quite a lot, right, in a very short period of time. And when I look at Insta stories, right, you still have time to be with your friends, right, to chill, to message like a lot like your followers, right, which I think that's true dedication, right, to your guys, to your followers, to your community, right. So can you share like, maybe like just like one or two, right, like your productivity hacks or tips, right, that you felt that really got you to where you are today, right? I think that's something that's going to be really interesting for people to know.
Well, I do batch work. Okay, what do I mean by that? So because most of us are horrible in multitasking. So when you have to do different tasks that requires different mental capacity and skill sets, right? You actually lose a lot of you waste a lot of time. So for example, I'm always very clear. For me to be successful in my business, there are only 2 to 3 things I need to keep doing. Number one is strategy. I need to do a lot of thinking work. I need to plan and make sure my business model works. Number 2, it's a lot of content creation, right? Podcast interviews, creating content. And number 3 is a lot about interacting with my audience so that I can learn their problems and I can see whether, are the things I'm teaching working. So these are the 3 big pieces. And I never do all these 3 at the same day. So if it's a strategy day, the whole day is all about thinking and researching so that I don't have to keep switching to different mental mode. Today is Thursday. It's an interview day. So I have a podcast before yours, and then I'm doing a podcast right now, and then tonight I'm doing a Q&A, which is all in Q. You see, I'm in a Q&A mode. And if I do training, that whole day is training. So I guess that helps a lot because it makes it very easy for me to not get distracted. Number 2 is, I think it's about blocking time. So I knew I like playing with Instagram and I like playing games like Dota and all that kind of stuff, right? So what I do is I block time for play. Because the reason why we start watching a little bit of Netflix here and there is because we never block time to watch Netflix. But if you really block time to watch Netflix, you're going to watch Netflix at 9 p.m. Then there's no reason for you to watch Netflix now. You're going to be watching it later, right? So number 1, batch work. Number 2 is give time for distraction, which is like work 55 minutes and then 5 minutes get distracted.
And that's what you do.
Like go out, get a coffee, check your messages, or just walk around and talk to people and then come back. It's okay to do that. Just allow for that. And then make sure you also block time for play. I think it's so important. You to balance. You cannot. I don't know how people can work 24/7. I'm definitely not that kind of person. I'm the kind that I need to work hard but also play hard. If not, I'll feel super imbalanced. And the beauty is when I play hard, then I'll feel like, I need to work hard now. So it's a positive cycle.
I think
that helps.
That really, I think blocking, right? And I think like there's always 2 extremes. Like some people, they just want to watch Netflix, they just want to do a lot, like they just want to relax. But on the other hand, those people just hustle. But like you said, like if you set some time for play, right, it's actually going to help you in the long run, right? At least
yes, because a lot of my best ideas came out of play. Like when I play Dota, suddenly it's crazy one, no? It's lateral thinking. That means, when you're not thinking about it, your mind is still thinking. And it's where creative work happens. And then I was like, oh shit, that's a great idea. So always just make sure you have a notebook hanging around you. So I always have a notebook beside me. And then suddenly someone said something, oh my God, that's a great idea. I put it down. So That's why rest time is important. But to those of you who watch a lot of Netflix, don't make yourself wrong. But instead be curious about why you're spending so much time on Netflix. And usually the answer is because your work is not very exciting. Because if your work is exciting, right, more exciting than Netflix, then you will not be Netflixing, right? So I would say that it's if you're spending a lot of time doing things that you think is wasteful, consider that that's feedback to you that your day job is, you're not motivated by your day job. So either you reconnect, create a new story, tell a new story about your day job so that you are reconnected and you feel more motivated, or go do something else that you're excited about.
Wow, I think these are some wise words, man. Like when we talk about like Netflix, everything, and I like what you say about like playing more games, right? So I think even for myself, I struggle with like playing Dota, and I think we're talking about it through DM as well, right? So there's something else I've got to consider as well, right? So I mean, Eric,
I think it's important. You need to rest. Like, I mean, how to put it? The best way to put it is that there's a Chinese saying, right? 休息是为了走更长的路嘛, right? To rest is to allow you to walk a longer path. So there's nothing wrong with rest. I think it's quite silly if people have a negative relationship towards rest. But as with all things, it's all about balance. If you over rest, then also not good. You under rest, also not good. So it's all about balance. That's why it goes back down to what I just shared, which is self-awareness.
Wow, thanks, man. Like, yeah. So anyway, Eric, we've come to the end of the interview. So just want to check, like, is there any last messages you have for my audience? I know we talked a bit about like who most of my audience people are. Everything. Any last messages you have for them, and where can they find you, man? I think a lot of them after watching this interview, they're going to want to find you more to learn more about you, man. Where can they do so?
Well, I will not say it's the last message, but I'll say that if there's one thing that you guys can do right now is to spend time with yourself and be aware about what are you good at doing. Be aware about what you care about. Like, pay attention to your conversation with your friends. Notice what you usually talk about. Like, what things get you upset most of the time? Because all these are clues on your calling in life. And that's why it goes back to self-awareness. In terms of staying in touch, I'll be happy to continue this conversation with you guys. You can reach me at Instagram, which is Eric Goes Global. And also, every Thursday, 8 p.m. Singapore time, I have a show on Facebook called Ask Eric Live. So if you guys enjoy my conversation with Marc and you want to ask your own questions and you want to get a bit of coaching and mentoring, I actually do that. It's on Thursday, 8 p.m. So you can come check me out on Facebook. Just search Eric Feng. And make sure you follow me on the page, not the profile. And just come online at 8 p.m. Thursday. You'll see me answering questions. And you'll have a chance to ask them as well. And I'll go live with you. So look forward to meet all of you in person one of those days.
Yeah, for sure. So like I just want to share my experience, right? So when I first got started in the whole social media game, right, you are the first few people that I started to follow, and you have so much value that you give over in your page, right? So I was watching a Q&A on social media, right? I think an interview recently with Xia Xue as well. Like there's so much stuff that you gave, right? That I learned so much from. So I just want to thank you, man, from everyone.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah. So with that, right, guys, like let me know if you like the interview, comment what your biggest learnings and everything, right? And we are for sure like we're gonna get more like wonderful people like Eric, man, to come on board, right? So thanks, Eric.
Yeah,
thank you, Eric.
Actually, to jump in, right? Yeah, please do that. You see, this called seeking validation and seeking education. The difference, right?
Yeah.
Is please let us know out of the whole entire interview, right? What aspect of the interview resonates with you? If possible, even write down, give us a timestamp as well. That means like tell us that at a part where you at 2 minutes and 32 seconds, when you tell us this thing is the most memorable for us, it will really mean a lot to us. And me.
Wow! All right, that's seeking value, seeking education, right? I think I love it. Right?
Yeah.
All right, so thanks everyone. I'll see you all soon. And yeah, bye. Thanks, Eric.
See you guys.